One of us is going to treat the water, one of us is not.
Shut up.
Treacle?
Is there going to be docking involved?
Treacle?
We're going to treacle the water, and one of us is... No, we're going to do...
Oh, treat the water. Oh, okay.
Yeah, those double
I thought that'd be a
IPAs.
weird beer to put treacle in.
No.
Brandon, those two, the
So-
Pliny and the Heady.
Is that like
those are the first-
teabagging?
I did RO water, and I just put brewing salts in with the tasty water profile.
Okay.
The last
From
one
Tasty.
smells weird.
Suck it, tasty.
Really good, dude.
The last one is...
So this one is...
Smells like dirty feet.
Yes.
Didn't treat the water.
No.
What?
Dirty Pete.
Who's bringing us in?
Stinky
Dirty
feet.
feet in the boys.
Stinky feet.
Listen, we got an old poodle and a jar of mustard.
Brandon, you bring us in?
Okay, boys. I do not think that...
Okay.
I know nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Schultz!
All right. Welcome back to Come and Brew It Radio. That was an eventful break, I have to say. Very lively discussion.
A lot of problems.
Punches were thrown.
Solved a lot of problems. Punches were thrown. Bonds were made. We hugged it
Bondage
out.
was done.
Right.
We punched the clown.
One
Thought we
person
weren't going to
died.
talk about that.
Punched
Chris-
the clown.
Chris died.
And then was resurrected.
No, but the padre feeling
So anyway, we've got beers here that we're drinking that I can't talk about, but they're fantastic. Greg brewed some awesome
They're
beers.
super duper.
It'll
But
be
they're-
great.
But we shouldn't taco about them.
We shouldn't talk about them. There's a lot of secret beers tonight, now that I think about it.
Yeah, what's up
Yes.
with that?
Hey, here, drink this. Don't talk about it. All right. It's better than talk about this, but don't drink it, I guess. So we're going to get into a discussion on category 24A, which is Belgian Witbier. As I said before, this is one that I'm a big fan of. I like the style a lot. It's one of them that I think I brew very well. I'm very, very familiar with. Thanks, Pete. That was
I think Pete might have a dissenting opinion on that.
just took the wind out of my sails.
So, Pete, what do you have to say about Belgian wit beers?
So this beer has an
very informative, Pete.
interesting
Thank you.
history to it too. This was brewed in a very specific area in Belgium, and at one point had gone extinct. And the guy who is credited for reviving it is his name is Pierre Celis, and he's from Hoegaarden, Belgium, which is where it was brewed. And when it died off, he decided that he wanted to revive the style, and he did so in Belgium, and that's where Hoegaarden beer is from. And that was initially or later bought by a large brewery, and he moved to America. And it's really cool. It was an interesting part of the story that I read is that his English wasn't very good.
No,
and so
it
the
was
reason
not.
he moved to Texas, he said, is because we spoke slow and were easy to understand. And so that's why he ended up in Austin, Texas. And he started up, he revived the wit beer style here. And the Celis Brewery is pretty iconic. It at one point ended up having to be sold off and shut down. And then in the last few years here, his daughter has started it back up again. At various times, the Celis name has been sold to the
Michigan
rights
Brewing
Michigan
bought it.
Brewing, yeah, and which was then bought by Miller, I think it was. And
Well, Miller owned them initially. And
Oh, was that what it was?
Miller
Okay.
bought them out the first time around and
So
closed
this
them.
is
so
post-prohibition.
Well, and this
Talking
is
about
one of the
moving to
beers that I
Texas.
remember back
this
in
is
the early
mid-90s.
90s.
Mid-90s.
It was,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
early 90s.
yeah,
I'm talking about
And it was
slow
93,
talking Texans. I thought
94, 95 maybe. Yeah, mid-90s almost.
Well, 97, it was still around.
Really?
I turned 21 in 97.
Maybe I just quit drinking it by then.
so this style to me is a very unique one in the Belgian repertoire. It's kind of the antithesis of some of the other styles. That one of the
For sure.
the recurring themes that we talk about when we talk about quads and doubles and triples and singles and all of these is that they're generally very dry, very highly carbonated, very drinkable, where mouthfeel is actually a part of this style. And I think that sets it apart. Also, the yeast character in it is much more restrained, and the spiciness and that kind of thing that comes from it is from spices being added to it, which are kind of a no-no with the other styles. So it's really opposite some of the other Belgian styles we've been talking about.
And I think that's I love this style of beer, and I think it's it's different in the fact that it's lower ABV, for the most part than most of the Belgian ales that you're going to drink. So it's I guess it would be the quintessential, session beer for Belgium. But I mean, I know there's some Patters beer and stuff like that, but I would
even
say
the Patters beer and stuff that we drank was still pretty good. I mean,
yeah, it's still
back in the
6%. I know
back
that
in the
there's
day
Patters.
they were lower, like
Right.
table beers, but the modern versions of them are still in the 6 to 7% range.
Yeah. So I think this is which I found kind of interesting is when I was in Belgium, a couple weeks ago, is that it was available, but I don't know if it was, as available as any of the other styles. Honestly.
Well, that's the thing is it died off in Belgium.
Yeah.
They quit brewing it there for over 10 years.
As a matter of fact, I think when we saw it the most often was probably in the Netherlands. So.
Really?
Yeah, north of Belgium. I don't know if that was just our experience in general, but yeah, they had some really good ones up there. So.
Well, it's one that's kind of taken on a life of its own here in America too, and unfortunately we have to mention this as part of the story. Is that's what style Blue Moon claims to be.
Right.
Now, Blue Moon is just an abomination of a wit beer as far as I'm
Well, to
concerned.
me, all it tastes like is coriander.
It's all coriander.
Very coriander, and to me, Blue Moon tastes like if you get super super drunk and the next
Say
day when you wake up with a hangover, what your mouth tastes like. That's what Blue Moon tastes like to me. When
Like
I
a little
drink
bit of
it tastes
vomit,
like yeah,
what?
vaguely. Like, did I throw up
wow.
last night? I don't think I did, but
It tastes like regret.
like regret. Exactly. Very good. Yeah. Yeah.
Shame, regret.
No. Shame is more of a Budweiser.
I don't even know what to say about that.
And honestly, I think one of the things that I think people overdo in this particular style, and because I really like this style, honest to God, out of all of the recipes that we've ever developed here for Texas Brewing, honest to God, the Whitetail Wit I spent more time on than in developing it, and I probably brewed it more than any other beer kit that we ever did.
It's very difficult to do with extract.
And well, in that too, and one of the things that you guys may or may not know as extract brewers, it doesn't matter what you buy, whether it be dry, liquid. I tried every single malt company that made extract. The wheat malt DME or LME is dark.
Yes.
And that kind of goes against everything that a wit beer is, right? It's supposed to be white, for God's sake. So not only do we really spend a lot of time on that, but we also spend a lot of time on developing the all-grain recipe to this. So, and I think one of the things that most homebrewers, if you decide you want to do this style, I would highly suggest going. I mean, traditionally, bitter orange peel and coriander is used in this recipe. I would highly recommend starting on the low end and adding back to it, because I think
Absolutely.
I think this particular style, if you overdo it with the spices, it totally ruins the beer.
Oh, yeah.
But I also
Yeah.
think that it's quintessential to make the beer taste proper.
Yes.
One of the ingredients that is used quite often is chamomile. This spice can totally destroy your beer. If
Totally
you-
take it over, and it just tastes like a cup of tea.
Yeah, and so, but I think it's really important in order to make a really good wit beer. But,
Chamomile? Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I
see,
agree.
I think it's a small
I
amount.
think of that as an optional.
Yeah, but to me, I mean, all the ones that are going to drink tonight, I know that Hoegaarden does. I know that
Love
the
Hoegaarden.
other one. They all have
This is my favorite basic
chamomile
beer.
in it.
Well, much
So-
like an ingredient I was talking about earlier tonight that I don't particularly care for. I think that
Hops, yeast,
cumin,
water.
that I don't want to talk about it. Okay,
Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to taco about
but
it.
the chamomile and actually any of the spices in here shouldn't be that you drink it and you're able to pick out that flavor. It should
I know what
add.
you're saying,
It should add
yeah.
a dimension to it. and blend into the rest of the flavors. You're almost replacing.
Shouldn't punch you in the face.
It shouldn't punch you in the face. You shouldn't drink a beer and say there's chamomile in that. You shouldn't drink this beer and think, "Oh, wow, lots of coriander." All of these things should contribute flavor, but
I agree,
blend into the
100%.
background.
And that's why I think in our Whitetail Wit we use 2 grams. I mean, that's very little. But I would say that this spice, a little bit of it goes a really long way. So
One of the things
Yeah,
that
you don't need a lot of chamomile. And
Ever.
I've done a chamomile beer before, and Rogue does one. It's fantastic.
I've liked the chamomile
but-
ones I've had.
How was yours,
but
Mikey?
I don't think chamomile is. Now you can taste it pretty strong.
It
in
was
the
good.
Hoegaarden.
I think I overdid it. I'm gonna try it again with the chamomile that we have here at the shop now. Do kind of a chamomile honey ale. But
So
yeah.
one of the interesting things about the style, if you read the overall impression in the BJCP, at the end of the overall impression, it says vegetal, celery-like, or ham-like aromas are inappropriate. Spices
ham
should
in beer.
blend in with
Inappropriate?
fruity, floral, and sweet aromas and should not be overly strong. It seems really odd that you should have to say that ham is not an appropriate flavor. Like, if you tasted ham in a beer and think, well, is that okay for this style? Is this kind of a hammy style? The
hock style.
reason that's in there is because coriander, certain types of coriander, and in certain concentrations can have a ham-like flavor to it.
Right.
And that's
Now,
why.
do they have a ham-like flavor, or are they commonly used as the outer casing for like honey-baked hams, so you associate them with it?
No, I think that there is a.
I think
there
if you
are
use it
certain-
inappropriately, you're going to get a ham.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna
I
get
think
meat.
it's actually certain types of coriander. There's different
Okay.
types. I can't speak more intelligently.
Well,
about
and
that,
they-
unfortunately,
You don't
but-
want to
that
have
could
a
also be-
ham-handed approach either.
I wonder if is that also the coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant, and it's a
Right.
genetical. It's a genetical.
genetical.
Yeah, that's a good word right there.
Oh, wow, it's a
genital-
genetic. It's a genetic characteristic that some people taste cilantro as soap-like.
Soapy, yeah.
So I wonder if that's
That's
part
poor
of
people.
the characteristic of cilantro.
I wish that I had
cilantro and
looked this
coriander.
up before we talked about it because I think it has more to do with the type of coriander. There's
the where it's grown.
yeah,
the region
is
Yeah.
what it is. What it is.
Because
And then also
coriander's
the
grown
amount
across
that
the
you
world.
use.
I mean,
Right.
Right.
it's-
Some of it is going to be much more of a strong citrus type flavor, and some of it is going to have more of a spicy component to
Right.
it. And then apparently some of it has ham. So I don't know.
But that's not the right kind.
It's not the right kind. No, if you got the ham, you're using the wrong
I've
kind,
always-
I think.
It could be
I
a
always
yeast
loved
reaction thing
Hoegaarden.
too.
So
This is my favorite one that I've had.
did you guys rouse the yeast?
it kind of comes and goes.
No.
Though. I mean,
I
you
yelled
know,
at it.
Brandon's aroused. Oh wait, never mind.
I mean,
That's
you
not
know,
the yeast.
who
You know, I mean, we got yelled at last year.
Right.
We didn't rouse the yeast.
Is there
you know.
yeast in there?
Yes.
There
It
is?
even
Oh.
says on the bottle.
How's that-
you're
how's
supposed
that
to
sell
rouse
us,
the
though?
yeast.
I was handed a bottle. I mean, once it's handed to you,
It was ham-handed to you.
it was ham-handed to me.
The
Okay,
Celis
so-
looks kind of clear though.
So I would say this: there's 2 different styles of beer that I really think, if you truly want to brew a style-specific beer, and you want it to truly taste like it should, I think this is one that should be bottle conditioned as well as a Hefeweizen.
I disagree.
And the reason I
Yeah.
say that is because there's only one way that you can get all that yeast back into suspension is by doing a bottle conditioned beer. And most of these are bottle
I've
conditioned.
never had a problem getting yeast into a suspension in a keg. If you just
You don't
bump
want
it,
to turn it upside down every time.
You don't
just bump it.
just bump it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much. This is a powdery yeast, too. The Witbier yeast is powdery. It stays in suspension. It takes a long time
See,
for
that's
it to
what
drop
it should
out.
look like. You guys are clear.
Looks like mud.
No, mine's
Mine wasn't.
no, it's not clear.
No.
Mine looks like dishwater.
This one has a pretty heavy.
Yes, but tasty.
The chamomile is pretty strong in this one, I think.
Mine looks a little darker than y'all's. Not
That's,
sure what's up with
Is that-
that.
that's
I don't,
pale,
I don't
Pete.
think that's the same beer.
It's a little cloudier, but mine's not clear.
Well,
There's also condensation on the glass.
I kicked the keg and mine tastes fine.
So
It was bottle.
So let's
Honest to
get
God, though, it
into-
makes it taste better when you get all the yeast in there.
No, I do agree with you on that. I do. yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the
The
Witbier
yeast is
is
a
in
big
the
part of the
Hefeweizen
flavor for
kind
this.
of territory as far as it needs to be
Yeah,
in there.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So let's start with the grain bill on this one because this is one where the recipe is very, very important. as compared to some other styles where recipes are simple and the fermentation and that kind of thing is important. The grain bill is very important in this one. It's generally a large amount of it's got a very much like a Weizen yeast grain bill in that it's got a lot of wheat and Pilsner malt in it. I personally, in mine, I use flaked oats, flaked rye, and flaked wheat also.
Flaked rye?
Yeah,
Really?
I like the rye. The rye adds, and
I think I
flaked
agree
rye
with it.
in specific adds a little bit of spiciness to it that blends in well with it. I put a half pound in a 5-gallon batch of flaked rye.
Oh my God.
I use a lot of flaked grain in mine.
Things.
Now mine, I brew at 8% too,
That doesn't surprise me.
because I'm flaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the
Everything I
characteristic.
put in my beer is flaked.
Well, if you look at what the mouthfeel is supposed to be on this, is medium light to medium body, and this is a beer that's going to want to dry out unless you do something to retain some mouthfeel to it. The yeast is pretty attenuative, and if you don't want to mash high to get the mouthfeel in it, I think you need to use some starchy.
Yeah, you should
Adjuncts
let
in
it
it.
dry
Yeah.
out, but have some mouthfeel
Right.
to it. I mean, I think these beers are best when they're dry.
Well, they're thinner bodied, but they've still got
Right.
a little bit of a like a. That's why I like the flaked adjuncts in there
Mhm.
because it's more of like a slick
Right.
mouthfeel, and it's not a like a dextrin and unfermented sugar,
Right.
mouthfeel to it.
Okay.
That's
I
my
can see
personal
that.
opinion on it. That's how I've had good luck. It says in
That's
the
my
mouthfeel,
story, and I'm sticking to
medium
it.
light to medium body, often having a smoothness and light creaminess from
Smoothness.
unmalted wheat and occasional oats.
Schmooznish.
Despite body and creaminess, finishes dry and often a bit tart. Effervescent character from high carbonation. So it's kind of a balance between some of the characteristics you get from other Belgian beers, and then also this one needs to have a little bit more in the mouthfeel to it than say a triple or something like that. So
Well, and to me, I love drinking this beer in the summertime. I think this is one of the most
Absolutely.
refreshing beers that you can drink.
I
It's
brew
just-
it in the spring every year.
It's
is
just
what-
so easy to drink in a hot summer day,
Good timing.
and it's it's just, man, you can pound them.
To me, this
It's crushable.
It's crushable. the same thing
Oh my
like I was
God,
talking about
please
earlier,
never
like
say that again.
like lately I'm into Helles and Pilsner and that kind of some of the lighter, more refreshing beers, because in the Texas summer, by the time you get to the end of the summer, you just kind of feel beat up by the heat and you want something refreshing and that kind of thing. With this one, by the time you get to the end of our what we call winter down here, and the spring is coming out, you want something
Springtime.
that's kind of spicy, and
whenever you're
this
coming out.
goes well with the nice warmer spring weather. And
Well, to me,
flowers
it's kind of
coming out and everything.
citrusy and refreshing.
Yeah, yeah. So I like it spring and summer. It's a good, just refreshing, warmer weather beer.
Yes,
So then
it
we
is.
get into spices, and spices are really the heart of this beer. The Witbier yeast is a much more restrained yeast character. It's much more mild. You're not going to get all the spicy phenolics and really
Yeah.
big esters like you do out of some of the other Belgian yeasts.
Correct.
And so typically orange peel and coriander are kind of a must.
The common, yeah.
You know,
Cumin.
no cumin.
It's
No.
on the list.
Cumin is on the list.
Other spices. Examples. Chamomile. Cumin.
That was put in here as a joke, right?
cinnamon. And grams of
Paradise.
paradise.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing this?
It's on
In the
characteristic
list.
Oh,
ingredients.
I'm not on that part. Okay.
He's going
Turn-
from memory right now.
turn the
He wiped
page.
that part out. Cumin. No. Read no further.
If you put cumin in your wit beer,
Oh my
please let me
God.
know, and I'm gonna come to your house and punch you in the dick. That's what's gonna happen.
So you do it very slowly in a jerking motion.
If you want to
Somebody
know
in
where I
the-
am, look
Squeeze
for
it.
the guy punching dicks. 'cause
Somebody in
that's
the
me.
control room should be raising their hand.
Punching dicks.
He's a dick puncher.
No, in a wit
He's
beer,
a
I'm
dick
talking
puncher.
about.
Okay. All right. So
I may have done that, but we won't talk about it.
I checked. That one said not to rouse it.
Oh wow.
That said not to rouse it.
It said nothing about rousing.
Oh, but it didn't say not to.
No, but if it
We
doesn't
just
say
had
to,
this discussion, Chris.
if it doesn't say to rouse, then you shouldn't rouse.
That's incorrect, sir.
No, you should.
Oh, okay.
You should with this. Yeah.
We need some
So
salt.
now we're drinking the
we need some
Celis White.
saltpeter around here.
Saltpeter.
There's so much
saltpeter.
rosin
Salt
around
on your
here.
Peter.
Need a saltpeter.
Never mind. You guys are too young.
No, I know what saltpeter is.
I know what it's used for, and it tasted delicious in my eggs. Thank you.
Wow.
Salty Peter.
Saltpeter.
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 Jesus Marimba. All right, so now we're drinking the Celis White.
Yeah, so this is the revision, and actually,
Rouse it, baby.
well, I think the hardest part about these guys coming back into Texas is they had some big shoes to fill, or
Yes.
at least people what they remembered it being. So
I would say so. Yeah.
I think even though this beer may not be it may be better than what people drank back in the early '90s. I think it was a tough.
There's just a nostalgia.
The
With
nostalgia
it. Yeah,
and people, it's just like when people like expect like they remember Star Wars and then they go to the new Star Wars movie and they like
Oh,
they're
please
expecting-
don't do this. What are you doing,
Just
man?
stop now. So stop now.
Do you remember Chewbacca?
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Do you remember Han Solo?
but you expect it to be so much
man.
better and it's just not the same, So anyway, I had to make that reference. I think that's a great reference.
No, you really didn't, because it's nothing similar. But
I would like to commend Mikey for his restraint.
Hey, do you guys remember that really old movie,
you
Empire
know what?
Strikes
Shut
Back?
up, shut up, Chris. You weren't even alive when that came out, so shut up.
Way to go, Mikey. Okay.
We're pushing Mikey to the brink here. We need to get off of
Mikey
this.
more beer.
I'm gonna just take this cooler
but-
beer
but-
home.
But I do think you're right. I mean, for me, it was a lot like that with Zima.
Which you left a half bottle here last week, okay?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be for the room, all right? I only brought one bottle.
it.
I'm
I
not
was
gonna
thinking
drink
that
all
was
myself.
sacrificial.
I was thinking
bottle
that was for the
room.
vodka.
There's a
I
beard
mean-
hair on it. After he drank out of it, there's one beard hair. We don't want it.
Wait, only one? That's pretty good.
I think you're right. There's a lot of nostalgia that's going to be associated with the Celis, but I think there's a lot of quality associated with them. That her father Pierre, he revamped
Whose father, Pierre?
Pierre. I don't know her name. What's her name?
Celis.
I think it's Christine.
Christine. That's correct. I believe that's
Was
correct.
it
I'm not going to say that's
chamomile?
correct.
I think
Christine
it's
Celis,
Chamomile.
her father Pierre, was the one that revamped the whole Belgian white style and revamped that Hoegaarden to it when it was a premier beer. Revived that style, that recipe, and it kind of fell on the wayside as he left and came over and started Celis. And so the original Celis White and the original Hoegaarden recipe are virtually the same. The way I
And
understand it.
these two that we're drinking
And
here are very, very similar. I
Right.
would say that the Hoegaarden has more chamomile to it character,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
this has more balanced spice character.
This is
to it.
drier too.
It is
Right.
a little drier, yeah. Uh-huh.
This reminds me more of the original Celis, and that can be some
To me, though, it
nostalgia
has
to
a
me.
lot more lingering spiciness.
Yeah,
Than what the other beers.
and I
do.
think
I
it's
think
better.
it's the cumin.
Really?
Yeah,
the
I like it
Hoegaarden
better.
A lot better. That's just me.
Yeah.
Well, let's not talk about it.
You know what I like about it is it's nothing at all like Blue Moon.
Exactly.
Well,
there's-
neither one of
you
these
just
are
hit
Blue
that.
Moon.
That's
They're-
the point. Is
they're
that Blue
very-
Moon is advertised as
Wow,
as a
it's
wit
pretty good.
beer, and so many people think that's what a wit beer should taste like. That is nothing anywhere
Well,
near what
and
a
it-
wit beer. If you've never had any of these, and you went out and got either one of the Celis or the Hoegaarden, and you try that, you're like, what the hell is this that I'm drinking in comparison? And most of the wit beers you can buy on the market are somewhere in this territory.
Yeah.
There
agree.
may be more yeast character, a little less, maybe more spice,
And the
a little
spices
less.
kind of vary,
Well,
but you're right.
and-
They are in this
Whereas
zip
Blue
code.
Moon on the other side of things it's flat flavored.
It tastes like a homeless lady's taint. Let's just say it.
Whoa.
Brandon would know.
That's true.
No,
He
but
does know.
you know what I think is really cool
wanna
about
be
this stuff
sucking
too?
on some-
He's actually a nationally certified judge of homeless.
So he should know.
Of homeless taints. That's right. Yeah. No, but
If you need help identifying that flavor, talk
one
to
of the
Brandon.
cool things, my experience with this style is, you know, Blue Moon is one of those. It's very, very popular amongst non-craft beer drinkers.
Correct.
You know? And every drinker that I know that likes Blue Moon, if you give them an actual wit beer, they always like it. They always think, "Ooh, that's really good," and you tell them, "This is what this is supposed to taste like."
This is
Right.
a Blue Moon.
Really?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not one of those. You know, sometimes with craft beer, you give somebody, "Here's what a Pilsner is supposed to taste like," and they go, you know, Miller Lite is a real Pilsner. That's what I like. It says on the can it's a true Pilsner, so you know that must be true.
Advertising's correct.
You know, you're not going to get that universal acceptance where every single time I've given a real wit beer to somebody who likes Blue Moon, they've liked it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wit
Well,
beer.
and I think that's it, to me what ruins a wit beer if it's overspiced.
Yes.
and I think if it's not crushable.
Man, you're really poking the bear tonight.
I think what you're really getting at here is that
No, I'm just
Blue
saying
Moon,
that if it's not if
Because I'm already in a great mood right now.
no, I'm just saying that if it's not really spicy. I mean, if it's overly spicy, it's not drinkable. And,
You're right.
And I think that's the beauty of this beer is it's very sessionable.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
It's
that's the
easy to
case
drink.
for most beers. You know, if it's too bitter, you know, if it's ripping the enamel off your teeth because
Right.
it's so bitter, it's not a good IPA.
Yeah, anything
If it's-
overdone and it builds up as
Right.
you drink it. And
You
it
know-
gets worse and worse. It goes for spice,
Well,
like you're
yeah.
saying, bitterness or you know, whatever.
Any of those things. If it's a spice beer and there's too much, you know, if it's a pumpkin spice beer and there's just too much of the cinnamon or the nutmeg. The clove, those are going to build up. If there's too much coriander, it's going to build up.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, we're going
I'd
to knock
rather have
on
a beer that has very little to no spice than overspiced. You know,
and most of us would,
yeah,
at least
I think
in this
that's-
room.
And that's one of the things when we were developing the Whitetail Wit is we really struggle with the orange peel edition because most of the recipes that we were dealing with had at least 1 ounce. And the problem is that, you know, and they had a lot of coriander and we kept using it. And I'm like, man, it just doesn't taste right. It's just too much. It's too over the top. And so we end up like really restraining the coriander.
Underkill is the rule. I think.
And as well as the we had chamomile in it, but I mean that's 2 grams, dude. That's little. That's
2
that's
grams?
Not, that's how much we
Yeah.
put.
2
That's
grams.
nothing.
But I promise you can still taste it
Yeah.
at 2
Yeah.
grams. So it's a very powerful spice, as well as I think the bitter orange peel. If you put too much of it, it really can make it really, really bitter. So I mean, you don't want
It's real rindy.
You don't
Yeah.
want it to be, you know, it's like
Pithy.
like if you want to, if you take an orange
Like a
peel
pith
and you start
helmet.
eating it, it's bitter as hell.
Yeah.
Man.
Don't
So
Well, see,
me off.
that's one area where I kind of
Pissing you
disagree on the orange
Pissing
peel
me
part.
off.
I prefer to actually zest an orange, which is that's not bitter orange peel. That's sweet orange peel.
well, and I've done that.
Well,
in
you
the past,
could
and we
zest-
overdone it with that too.
You
so.
could zest. any of the
I like,
fruits.
but I like keeping away from the pith.
Yeah.
I just want the zest. I think that flavor blends in
That's
better.
also something that you don't have to be as careful with.
You're
with
exactly right,
zesting.
yeah, yeah.
Because with peel, you have to get a good ripe fruit.
Right.
And if
well-
it's not ripe,
Well,
you're
what
going to
we-
get more bitterness.
Well,
if
it
you
gets
put-
really good stuff.
If you put
But-
too much zest, it's going to be a little orangey tasting.
Mm-hmm.
If you put too much pith, it's going to be bitter, and it tastes just like what it is. It
I can
tastes
say
like
that I've
biting
got-
an orange peel.
Pith on that.
Oh, pith on it.
Oh no!
No
he
need to
said
get all
food.
pithy.
We haven't been recording, right?
Yeah, the fucking computer just went off.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Are we still live?
Time to order pizza.
Oh, SpaghettiOs.
Did the monitor just turn off, maybe?
Yeah, the whole computer just went off.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's a Mac. It's the
No.
whole thing is the monitor.
Well, it doesn't help. It doesn't help when you kick the fucking
Power strip.
The power strip.
All right. Tacos.
Thanks, Fire Marshal Bill.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just record a quick.
So I have in my bag.
A couple
We'll
of
come
damn
back on
burgers.
today.
Hey, we are still live, though. However, on the internet.
Oh, we are still
Yes,
on?
yes.
On the internet.
How is that possible? If the computer's turned
No,
on.
we can
Because it's not hooked into
I'll
the
just-
computer.
Oh,
I'll
these
run through the
together.
iPad.
hello,
Well,
internet.
hi,
Again.
folks. We're going to drink some IPA.
Yes,
Because
Ibas.
why not?
And order some pizza.
I don't know. We got a lot of Witbier over here, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of Witbier over here.
We still have these, so I'm just throwing them out there.
But we're talking about Witbier.
I
Well,
thought the Blanche
we have
de
that
Michelle
too.
was like a blonde.
Screw
or something
you.
Like that. No,
That's-
Witbier it says right on.
It
all right,
is.
fine,
This is
fine.
such a good
It's
Get out the
mellow.
mannequin piece.
You know when he was talking about spices?
Mannequin piss?
That's what that is.
Yeah, mannequin piss. That's what
Seriously,
they call
you've
it.
never heard that?
No.
Yeah,
the
they
statue peeing.
it actually
super irritating.
it actually used to be branded mannequin piss.
Mannequin piss.
The name of it was mannequin piss,
All right.
and I
All right,
believe
so
Pete is
unfortunately-
reliving Night of the Living Dead 2.
Are we back?
yeah, unfortunately,
Return of the Living Dead, sorry.
I think we just lost that first 30 minutes.
Womp
The second
womp.
half,
Not on the
Wait.
live, though.
not on
Super
live.
May as well keep
Oh,
rolling.
well, we can resurrect it off the live.
Yeah,
then,
because I can pull it from the live.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
we're good.
It's all good.
All right. So we big old
So
hiccup, but we are
hi.
back. We're gonna crack into the Blanche de Michelle.
Stubby was like, I don't want you guys to have this. I'm going to kick the plug right out because I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to change that to
About
where that's
cumin.
at. God damn.
One of the cool things here, and Stubby pointed this out before the show, is that normally for one of these shows he'll spend a couple $100 on beer.
Yeah, especially
This
lately
was $58 for this
for
beer.
all the beers that we had. Yeah,
This 4-pack of Blanche de Michelle was $7.99, and this
That's a
is
steal.
great beer. I really love this beer.
yeah,
This is
one
a
of
good
my
one for a
favorites.
lot of people
I love
to start
mannequin
on.
piss. Makes me
saying
feel all ooey and gooey inside. No,
My
that's the
God.
outside. That's the outside. Never mind.
Oh wait.
That's really weird.
Yeah, man.
Everything you just
What?
said is really weird.
Everything that you just said is really fucked up. What are you talking about, man?
It's like there's an echo in here. Brandon says
No.
one thing, and Pete says almost the identical thing. Try it again, Brandon.
Brendan.
I
Brendan,
don't know what to say.
what is the capital of Thailand?
Mikey, what the hell?
Bangkok.
I don't know.
This is very, if anything, this is very minimal spicing.
It's a
And
lot
the
more
yeast
citrus.
character is really, really
It's
pulled
more.
back.
It's more yeast character than spice.
I think everything but is pulled back other than the citrus. On this
I get
one.
just a ton of citrus on this,
yeah.
which I'll take that. You know, if anything is
like
going to be
a wheat beer, but
like
a
with an
little
orange
bit-
in it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like someone has already put the orange in it. What the hell are you doing, dude?
What?
That
it's fondling the camera.
We're just trying to get squared away, bro.
we're trying to have a civilization here, man.
No
Not very good.
civilization
No,
allowed.
we're actually not. That's a
But
that's a wrong thing to say.
Brandon mentioned, or actually Brandon didn't hear it, but Mikey mentioned mannequin piss. They say that a lot because of the little statue that's taking a leak. Is the
famous statue
is
in
the
Belgium.
image
Yeah.
of this? So and that's usually what's on the
That's
tap.
not really a
when you find this.
mannequin. I mean,
Well, yeah, you're right. The original
nobody
Statue
walks
piss.
around Rome and goes, "Look at all these mannequins."
the tap handle when I was
Not that
bartending
exciting, at
the,
the tap handle.
the tap handle was
It's
the
the
little
tap
boy,
handle. Yeah.
Which was
Oh,
really
wow.
weird.
That is so
Yeah.
weird.
And then the brewery reps would bring by a miniature.
little boy.
Yeah, can I have some of that little boy that's peeing? Would bring by they had little statues that were, I don't know, 2.5, 3 foot tall, and it was a
don't even know how
replica
you
of the little
recover
boy
from that.
peeing, and you'd set it on your bar, and it was like, what's
That's
with
creepy
the,
as
what's
hell.
with the boy
Well,
peeing?
you know, it is an odd statue,
It is.
recurring theme in statues of.
Well, but this
people
is a
peeing.
famous statue in Belgium.
It's a fountain, right?
It's a fountain.
Well, but
It's-
they got an excuse. It's real old. You know,
Sure. And then this is also parodied in
Everybody gets
the
a
Money
kick out of
Pit.
people peeing. So
Oh, is it?
This is the
Yeah, I
statue
know.
peeing in the
Wow,
Money Pit.
we're into the
Homer wrote
35-year-old
about
references
that, right?
tonight, huh?
Yeah, if you've seen the Money Pit, that statue.
that's so
did he-
funny. We bought that
Such an
movie
old
when we
movie.
moved into the new house, the new old house, because it's the money pit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
well,
We're like, hey,
Yes.
Did your bathtub,
Living
What's
in
that,
it.
Pete
That's-
Pilsen?
did your bathtub
Pilsen?
fall through the floor like that?
Bullshit.
Hey,
Feel like
look
it
at your
could.
boy. He said Brandon's Orange Blossom Wit is hands down one of the best beers, homebrew or commercial, I've ever had, even though he wears sweatpants.
Who said that, I wonder?
James Harrington.
Could it be?
Is that a Jaime Harrington?
Jaime Harrington.
Well, that's whenever we wanted to make sure that that his wife would let him
Yeah.
come brew.
I remember
if
that
we
episode.
were if
She
we were
made
going to
sure
brew
he
that
wore-
beer, it was no
Yes.
problem because she liked it so much.
Well, but she made sure he wore sweatpants
Sweaty pants. That's right.
with no boxers.
Man, it really
He
seems
says,
like at some
how many
point-
Pilsners and Hellas have you had tonight?
That's what he's asking.
Yeah.
Not a
Not
lot
enough.
of those, just a couple.
He's had some
Not
other
much.
things.
James.
Oh, no, I backed it up. He said, how many have you brewed? That's what he asked.
Oh, I've only brewed Pilsner. I've not brewed a Hellas.
Oh, well,
you
you
go.
should.
Why is that?
Why is that relevant?
He's just asking.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Nitpicky.
James,
homebrew
why aren't you
stuff.
here?
Just poking
Yeah,
the
James,
bear.
what the hell,
Jeez.
man?
Just poking the bear.
I mean, seriously.
We need James here more often, I think.
We could
I
use a
don't
little
know.
bit- we
I
could
don't
use
know.
We use like a monthly Harrington, like monthly.
Yeah, a monthly Harrington would be nice.
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know?
mean, we'd never have to worry about
Come on,
dead
James.
air.
That's true.
James Harrington is a lot like coriander. You know,
A little bit goes a long way.
It's
Yeah.
great when you get it in there in the right balance, and it just really
I didn't think you liked coriander.
it makes the complexity pop. You know,
I didn't think you needed a lot of James Harrington, but
Nah.
apparently you do.
I give him shit. James is one of my best friends. He's
You
a
like
good guy.
that James Herringbone, don't you?
Herringbone.
Herringbone. I like
Is that your
guy.
nickname for him?
That's his nickname.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
That's what Mikey told me.
I would never say anything like that.
We have really,
Out loud.
really gone off
Yes,
the rails.
off the
here.
rails.
So,
Sid.
so
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
what,
So
what are we at?
what were we drinking again?
Beer.
We're drinking the Blanche de Burchell,
Blanche de Burchell.
Rochelle?
which is one. Isn't that how you say it?
I don't think it would be Brussels.
Blanche de Brussels.
Russell's.
That sounds wrong altogether.
Ah,
What kind of Michelle?
But it's but there is already a
The
Belgian
Blanche
way to
kind.
spell Brussels, right?
I don't know.
Isn't it Brussells?
I think that's probably how we spell it.
Okay.
I mean, my
What?
God, for God's sake! I mean, how do you get
the white from
how
Brussels.
do you get Austria from Österreich, or you get Munich from München, or Cologne from Köln? I'm just saying.
I don't know why you're asking me all these questions.
How do
all
we get,
very-
I've got some-
pineapple from what's the what's the word
Like
for
Jana?
everything else?
Pen, apple, pen, apple, apple pen. Chris knows what I'm talking about.
Get it out of my head.
Yes.
Out of my head, Charles.
Oh, this is stupid. We need to get back to talking about beer.
Yes.
We have
So-
been
What's the next beer?
in a very roundabout method.
Please.
So let's talk about the yeast on this one real quickly, because I think this is one of those beers where I will only use one particular yeast, and that's the is it 3724?
The Belgian ale yeast.
Well, it's the Witbier yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll only use the Witbier yeast because it has a really singular character to it. It really does dry the beer out nicely. It has a little bit of flavor contribution to it, some esters and that kind of thing, but it's pretty restrained. It stays in suspension just right for the beer, and I have to disagree with you on the bottle conditioning thing. I get it stay in suspension in kegs, no problem.
Oh, how old are you drinking those kegs? Are you drinking them pretty fresh?
No, I drink it fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I brew this beer. I do like an imperial wit beer. I do it at 8%.
Right.
I had, orange blossom honey to mine. So that kicks the ABV up to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons that I use so many flaked adjuncts in mine is because I'm putting
extra
like
stuff
a pound
in
and a
it.
half
Yeah.
of honey, 2 pounds. Of
You're
honey in
trying to
mine.
combat the thinning out of the
Right,
the wood.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah. If you're going to bump the ABV up with honey, you got to make sure you're retaining some mouthfeel to it.
Right.
So, but the yeast, I've tried another yeast before. They'll tell you can use like Weizen yeast.
And
or
what
that kind of
what
thing
yeast
to-
did you say you're using?
It's the Y yeast Witbier yeast. I want to say 3724. I might be wrong on that.
3944.
Belgian.
You're right. No,
3944.
I think you're right. I think it's 3944.
Let
You're
me
right.
let me go. Let me look.
This
Usually
one right
know
here.
most of them.
as soon as I pop the lid on this, I could smell it, and it smells delicious.
So this
Yeah,
is the
3944 is the Belgian
3944,
Witbier.
okay.
It's the
The
Hogarden. It's the Hogarden yeast originally, which was also the Celis yeast.
Which they pronounce Hogarden.
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 I always thought it was Hogarden.
It's Hogarden,
Hogarden.
Hogarden.
technically.
Who daddy?
I've been searching for that Hogarden.
Damn it, Brandon. You're cut off.
I can't. It's way over there. I'm reaching between shit to pour this.
For White Labs, it is going to be.
There's more over here. It's okay, Greg.
400.
See now, with this is the Unibrow. How do you pronounce it? Ephemera.
Unibrew. I believe.
Unibrow.
Ephemera.
Ephemera.
Ephemera. Okay.
Yeah.
And this one has much
that-
more of like a lemony.
Is
citrus
that not
flavor to it.
fruited?
Talk about
Is that straight?
Is it?
this-
Oh, it's brewed with apple juice,
Yeah, I was going to say. this
coriander, orange peel, and natural
Is, yeah,
flavor. added.
Ephemera.
Okay.
Ephemera's a
talk about 4 very different beers already.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the reason I bought this one because.
Blanche de Chambly would be their wit
Yeah.
beer.
But
Yeah.
I bought this one because I think this is kind of a neat play on a wit beer.
This one's I've always loved the Ephemera, and actually they do a series with these, or they used to, where they use different fruits.
Oh, really? Okay. I like this one a lot.
At least
The
you know,
apple
fun to
gives
make.
it a little bit of a tart flavor, which they talk about in the guidelines too. That there can be some tartness and even a little bit of lactic sourness to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure how you get the lactic sourness in there, other than just adding lactic acid into it. But
maybe doing a kettle sour with it. Maybe.
I don't know.
I sure would hate to see a kettle sour on a.
I think
wit
that'd be
beer.
too much. I think when they're talking, it's just like a note in the background. Like
Well,
just
we did this one time with.
no, that was my rye saison.
It was a saison, and,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Oh, I like this beer, but what do you think, Stubby?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I think it's great, but it'd be nice if you just had a little bit of hint, just a hint of tartness."
So I took the
Yeah,
bottles. I
use-
put 1 drop of lactic acid in each 12-ounce bottle that
And
I
it-
bottled,
it
and I
made
won
it
first place with it. I
It
won
made a
brewery.
complete difference, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't enough to. I mean, it doesn't have perceived
Right.
sourness.
It was just a note in the background.
Yeah, it just kind of gives it a little bit of a little pop, a little bit of a spice, or a little bit of a tartness that just really helps that style of beer, I think. And you can do the same thing even with this wit beer.
I mean, honestly, this tastes like you can smell the apple with it,
Yeah, you can.
but it tastes like they used more green apple.
It's
It was
it's like a tart apple.
Like
flavor. You're right.
slightly underripened green
like,
apple.
yeah, like a Granny Smith.
this is the
kind
first
of,
one
yeah.
that we've had that I would actually think that there could actually be some cinnamon or something in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's odd too to put apple in beer, since apple is an off flavor in beer. You won't find that very often. This is really well done, I think. And I've never had a beer from this brewery that I didn't love. I love everything they do.
The same
Even their weird ones, and that's even hard to say with this brewery. They're still.
Well, La Fin de Monde is one of the stellar beers.
Trois Pistoles
In-
is my
in the
favorite.
world.
I think I had some Trois Pastole.
We may still have some.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Chris Bradley and I drank that when we were
Oh,
doing
did you?
the those Zaptis check-in. Yeah, we split it. Yeah.
I thought you were drinking all the
good.
Mexican beer.
So good.
that
I mean,
bought.
they even
That
had a
too.
mold beer that was fantastic.
Mold beer.
Yeah.
You're going to
Yeah.
need to elaborate on that one.
You were meant to warm it, so it was like a mulled wine where you
Oh, like Okay.
yeah
Mold.
like
Mule.
mold
Talk about like
a
spoiled.
glue vine.
Oh, mold.
Mold.
Oh, okay.
Mold.
Not
It's
mold.
not MOLD.
Mold.
MULLD.
Mold, not mold, or mold.
Like mulling spices.
Yes,
Mold.
not like
Mulling
mold,
spices.
like
Yeah.
mold,
MULD.
Not mold.
mold, or
Yeah. Or you took some moles out of the yard and shoved them in there.
mold.
Jesus Christ. This is worse than a quad episode.
hey, there's no wood aging here.
Side beers. Side beers. Side,
Side
beer
beers.
damage. Side beer damage.
Siberians.
Yeah.
So,
Siberians.
really, when it comes down to brewing this one,
Siberians?
I think when you design your recipe, you've got to have a grain bill that has some. I really think you have to put flaked adjuncts in.
Well,
this beer.
I think you need unmalted
Malt.
or
Unmalted malt.
unmalted wheat.
Yeah, the guidelines call for 50% unmalted wheat. That
and I
seems
wouldn't
a
go
bit
that
high
far.
to me. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not going to use flaked, definitely use unmalted wheat, and you want to use pills to get it as light as possible. If you're going with extract, you want to use dry malt extract on the pill.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
What kind of pills?
Yeah.
Dry.
Dry pills.
Malted.
Not
Regular,
wet pills.
Yeah. Typically, you want malted pills on that. Yeah.
Right.
But an unmalted wheat, if you don't want to use a lot of flaked,
I don't know
and
about
it's gonna go the
Flaked
same
what?
way. Flaked wheat, flaked barley, flaked oats. Our kit has flaked oats,
flaked rye. I really like flaked rye in there. I think the spiciness from the rye really fits.
The rye
in
does
well
help
with
with the yeast.
And I think the flaked rye adds a little less spiciness than a straight rye. So I mean,
see, I've always thought I get better flavor.
But I understand what you're
out
saying.
Of the flaked rye,
Yeah.
and I feel like you don't get as much residual protein as you do with
Right.
malted rye.
I mean, when I do a Rogan beer or a Roggen beer, I still do some flaked.
It's Rogan.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
I like that flavor in there.
Roggen beer.
Rogan.
Rogaine beer?
No, Roggen.
Roggen beer.
You might be onto something though.
Okay.
Rogaine beer.
Look, shut up, man.
So then when it comes time for your spices, I think
That truly will put some hair on your chest.
I think Stubby hit it exactly. That with the coriander is the toughest
He
thing
didn't say anything about coriander.
to get right in this
Wait.
beer.
I think
You-
it's just with all things restraint.
Yeah, definitely. The orange peel is a little easier. It's a little more forgiving. The coriander, you got to be really careful not to put too much coriander in this beer. And if you brew it and you think there's not enough coriander, you can always make a tincture of coriander, put it in some vodka or something like that, and add it in post fermentation.
In this ephemera, did you not get some stinky feet?
Stinky feet?
Yeah, in the nose. It looked like stinky feet to me.
It's all green apple to me.
I think that's the apple.
that's
the
the apple.
apple has that kind of funky
Some kind of tincture.
note to
It
it.
smells like almost like Parmesan cheese to me right now.
You waited too long. It's carb. It's a.
I don't get that.
I don't get the Parmesan cheese, no.
I do. I get some cheesiness.
Bring that up again, Brandon.
Maybe in the
and we'll vote
flavor,
on it.
but I mean,
No, I
I'd have
get
to
it totally.
pick that out.
I mean, I'd say more blue cheese than Parmesan personally, but
Well,
that's,
yeah, I
that's
get
the
some
apple.
blue cheese, whatever.
No.
Blue cheese ambers are not good. I'm just saying I had those. I had one of those one time.
Didn't Drew Beecham brew a blue cheese beer?
Oh,
that was
man.
that was something in
awful.
NHC.
That was NHC.
That was
I love blue
unforgettable.
cheese,
That
but
was an
jeez.
unforgettable beer.
Exactly
I'll never
right.
forget that beer.
Well, unforgettable is not
You know how many
necessarily a
times you've
positive
been able to bring
descriptor.
that up?
Unforgettable
You
or
should say Thank you
unforgivable?
for making you drink that. That's all I can say.
Hey,
That's
just
a
like
story for life.
hey,
right
just
there.
like we want to talk about it. I'm just saying.
Roll that bottle. Roll that bottle.
You will never, ever, ever
Yeah.
forget.
Why
that
did
beer.
you not?
everyone's tacoing about it.
We're going to talk about it soon.
Yeah.
Why are you handing me these bottles that are unrolled?
I didn't hand it to you. It's
Listen,
sitting on the table.
douche.
I think that one looks like it's been filtered. Pretty
Skadoosh.
sure.
I don't think there's anything to roll in this
Yeah, I
one.
think that one's
it's pretty
filtered.
damn clear.
I don't know.
That's head. That's
I
different.
I think it's a little different.
Oh wow.
So then when it comes to yeast, I personally recommend making sure that you use a Witbier yeast. I've made this beer a lot of times, and I think that the Witbier yeast is the only thing that gets it exactly right. Make a big starter with it. Ferment it in mid to high 60s.
And this is one that you want to go on the high side on the cell count. You don't want.
You do. You're right. Yeah.
We think of wheat beers where you can undercut the cell count. A wit beer, we don't want a lot of yeast. We want yeast character, but we don't want it to dominate.
And you also want the yeast to be able to completely ferment this beer out nice and
Right.
And you don't want a bunch of residual sweetness in it. You need the yeast to be able to finish their job.
So we want this to be on the higher end on the cell count.
I agree. I do a nice big starter with this beer. Yeah, you're right. So
Yeah.
having said that, I think we better put everybody out of their misery.
No, honestly, you need to say something about this beer.
You need to drink this one a
This
little bit.
this one
Real
has the
Einstock?
tartness and
It has more of an
this
aromatic
is good.
spice.
Yeah,
an
this is
herbal.
nice. I like
Ooh.
the Einstock.
The Einstock.
Yeah, I
that's-
like
pretty
this.
good.
Pour you some so I can grab
Yeah.
Is
somebody.
that from the
like
Einstock?
it.
Is that from the Netherlands?
Netherlands,
Iceland.
Icelandic.
Iceland.
From the nether regions.
It's from your nether regions. Kind of weird.
Again, this has like a lemony.
Lemon.
kind of flavor to it.
That's
Oh,
a
similar to-
lemony snickets flavor.
We're gonna go more of a lemongrass or wheatgrass
Could be,
flavor.
it could be
It's-
grains of
it's-
paradise too.
Very
Yeah.
very low coriander, very low peel.
Refreshing.
but it's very refreshing. A
I
little
like
bit
this
more
beer.
herbally, like spice cabinet smell to it.
Gets the hose again.
Spice cabinet.
Spice cabinet.
You open it up and you get that air.
Yeah.
Of light,
Has anybody played the game Cranium?
Yeah,
You know the clay that they give you with it?
yeah.
It smells like that clay.
I only know that. I
wouldn't
don't.
have
I
done
haven't.
that, no.
Think
That
the clay
clay has a
smells dark?
weird lemony flavor or smell to it. Not flavor.
Flavor? You sure?
The flavor's terrible.
Taste
Trust
is
me, it's the
bad,
smell
too.
that's lemony. Yeah. It smells like cranium
I
clay.
like that beer.
Oh, somebody was saying to
Puts the
show the
cranium on
label of
its
the
skin,
bottles.
or
But
else
I
think
yes,
it
was
the
that-
hose again.
Epimere and Mikey.
Wrong side of the
Show
Like,
the
you
last
show the
two
labels of the
la-
bottles, dude.
Yeah, somebody's asking online.
So that's the Celis White.
hand me-
Oh, Mikey.
Give him the Ephemere.
Ephemere.
Effing what?
Epinephrine.
Epinephrine is totally
And
different.
then-
Tastes terrible.
And the Vas Deferens. Where's the Vas Deferens?
The va-
Also tastes totally
Well,
different.
the
Well,
badge.
that's completely different from
There's the
this beer.
badge. There's the badge difference there.
That's Hogun right here.
Oh, here's the Einstock.
That's actually got some hop character to it.
You think?
Yeah.
Of all these, I think the Hogun is the only thing that I've actually seen in a bar before.
What kind of hop character are you getting out of it?
the brunch is
Just a slight
Blanche
bit of
is definitely out there.
slight bit of noble hop character.
I'm gonna take a look.
But he does like that. When you
Boy,
do
I
it.
tell you what though,
That was disturbing.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like-
not happy that
I
I
know.
watched that happen.
But if you want to touch my boob again, that's perfectly acceptable.
I didn't know you have boobs.
I have man
There's
boobs.
a lot of boobs
There's
in
a
this
lot
room,
of
all right?
boobs.
Don't act
hey
like
man, come on. If you're a homebrewer, you got booze.
I have moobs.
Moobs.
I don't wear a bro though.
put these
No, it's
poor
called a
people out of their
manzinger.
misery.
You got to move it. Oh, sorry.
I don't move it. Move it.
Move it.
So,
Move it.
in upcoming episodes, we'll finish up the Belgians, have a few guests, keep covering basics like the Yeast-o-Rama, and more.
And more.
Jesus.
Holy shit!
broke my
What the hell was
earballs.
that?
So
Wow.
Carry on.
I think I just pissed a little bit. Who said that?
What the hell was that?
Mikey?
You broke my
Yeah, I think that was
earballs.
all of us.
No, it was not all of us.
I gotta go clean out my britches now.
So
Oh
again,
my god!
please make sure to check out our Patreon account because
Yeah.
you want to fund this.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Fundmeundies.com. Do that.
Patreon.com/Come and Brew It Radio to help support the show. We have $2, $5, $10, and $20 options because
Stubby.
every little bit counts.
Stubby,
It does.
stop
Plus,
laughing.
we want to reward you while you help keep the show going. Get involved and improve it.
Rewards like this. Like tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no
taste
doubt.
cumin in
Well,
that.
just FYI, just before we get out of here, the shirts, the Patreon shirts,
Ordered.
they're almost done. They're ordered. They're going to be done probably next week, hopefully. So you should expect them either next week or the week after. For you guys that have pledged $10 to $20 a month, you're going to get a slick looking shirt.
Just go ahead and burp,
Everybody
dude.
on the list.
They
as
cost
of
us a lot of money,
or,
so
yeah,
but-
September
or
29th.
good.
they will be in your Christmas stocking
Yeah.
the last week of December.
no,
They look
not
really
that one.
sharp.
2025.
But
Pete. Stop it.
we had a question online that I thought was
up.
very appropriate. He's a staunch listener.
He's
His name is Will Allwert, and he said, "Is there some wacky tobacco being passed around in there tonight?"
No,
No.
It's all
No,
importantly.
no,
sadly.
damn it!
I am
there's
not allowed to do that for my full-time job.
It's
So-
sad
Neither am
that
I.
that's not the case because that would make all of this okay.
I
this would make it all
right?
much
But
more
none of
volume.
None of this is
It would
okay.
all be explainable.
Can we
Too
do
many
this?
pots.
Do
Some
this
of that
podcast
stuff.
in Colorado?
Too many pots cast.
So,
Podcast.
Hey.
All right.
Yikes.
Well,
All right.
anyway,
Well,
thank you guys for
Ay,
coming and listening.
shite.
Hopefully you maybe picked up a tidbit or two about brewing a wit beer. We really appreciate all
Big tit.
the did you just say tit, really?
You did.
Shit.
Oh my
Shit,
God.
tit.
I feel like I'm on an episode of South Park.
Well, thanks for
Right?
listening to Come and Brew Radio.
But anyway,
Make sure to share with all your friends on social media.
And rub a clit.
Give us a rating on iTunes and Stitcher.
Oh my god.
And send any ideas or
Now that's
comments
just
to
sound advice.
info@texasbrewinginc.com.
until next time, come and brew it.
Come and brew it.
All right.
Dadgum!
Not come and smoke it. Come and brew it.
Come and smoke it.
Unless
Coming
you
to
feel
a
like that, I guess.
podcast near you.
I can't fucking believe you just said that.
Come and